What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And you are watching the Morning Vibe international style today on many different platforms. And Ryan is here, who is here most of the time. And then we have our special friend Ray McMillan from Jacksonville, Florida, hanging out with us today also. So, gentlemen, how are things going? What's going on? What's going on?
Ray, always good to see you. Things are good on my end. How about yourself, brother?
I am fine. What's been going on in your world?
What's been going on? Debriefing from this trip to Atlanta, trying to follow up with people that I met and, make those business connections. I definitely have to talk to you, Ray, about Jacksonville, seeing what the business landscape looks like out there.
Finally?
Hey, we've been
Everything in its own time, Dr. Vibe.
Yeah, I know. I'm playing. No, that's great to hear.
Actually, Ray, we didn't get to ask you how your property is doing in Jamaica.
I don't think in Jamaica.
Oh, I was going to say you're selling properties out there, but you don't own. Oh,
I
okay.
don't. Not that was a long time ago.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, how
Okay, well, good to hear you.
So Ryan, it was on my mind this morning. How is your grandmother doing?
No, it's my dad. Well, my grandparents are passed, but it's her house that is out there that we're trying to organize. Communication there is just
Yep.
It's like it's like managing a project and no way to talk to the other person. So yeah, it's pretty intense just getting things coordinated.
Well, if
Nothing like supplies are totally like building supplies, and you have to kind of wait in line. We know that there's more pressing areas like what would you say, like the west side of Jamaica is totally mashed, and then St. Andrews, where Portmore and my parents are, didn't get hit as hard, but still there's damage that areas on the roof that are open that it's gonna rain in it and you can't. It's just a wild ride right now.
Yeah, I wish you could have made it on Friday. We actually had two realtors that deal with properties in Jamaica on.
Gotcha.
And actually, one of the ladies actually lives and resides in Jamaica. Another one travels back and forth, and they shared with us. They actually were there, experienced the hurricane, but one of the things that came out was the day before Jamaica had a earthquake.
Okay, I did not know that.
We had no idea that
was like a serious double whammy. Oh.
Yeah,
and I believe they're saying it's the first time a Category 5 has ever hit Jamaica. Like,
they were saying that there's some people that are doing some research. They may say it was even a higher than 5. They may call it a Category 6.
Wow, that's wild.
So they were talking from a personal, business-wise, professional. Just the aim is not to build back, but build back better.
Gotcha.
Yeah, what I found interesting, Dr. Vibe, is when they said that the new homes that were being built in the last 3 years had severe roof damage.
Yes.
That means that there's something seriously wrong with building codes.
Yes.
I mean, here in Florida, like where I am, we don't really get the coastline of Florida is got a concave curve. So when the storms come up the coast from South Florida, they sort of pass Jacksonville and hit the Carolinas. But a lot of the damage you see are older homes and very basic homes in Florida. The big challenge is flooding. Have homes built within the last 2 or 3 years that aren't built with the proper, let's use the word technology.
Right.
Winds, that's something that I think the government needs to look into.
Well, it's interesting you say that. And the other compounding thing too is a lot of people build the homes, and I guess because of economics, they have no home insurance.
That's not economics. That's not what it is. I've heard that comment. Many people like to do with that. I think it's just a matter. It's going to happen. You've been the mortgage many times, and there's nobody telling you you need to put insurance people and clear it.
Okay, Ray, I'm just going to interrupt it. Your audio, maybe you may want to get closer because your audio is,
Muffled? Is this
yeah,
better?
yeah, that's, if you can get closer to the microphone, that's much better.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you
Yeah, I
could
think
just,
a lot of it is it's a lot more than economics. I mean, I grew up in the Caribbean. I left again when I was 25 years old. I mean, my grandparents had insurance on every single property they owned going back to the 40s and 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And most people had home insurance in the Caribbean because, I mean, apart from the hurricanes, if you look at a lot of homes built in the Caribbean back in the 60s and 50s and 70s, they're built out of wood. So house fires were very, very common,
Ooh, right.
right? So, I mean, I know there's distrust in some rural areas for insurance companies and policies and stuff, but we've got some very reputable insurance companies that have been in the Caribbean for more than a century. And the premiums are not what many think they are. I mean, you insure your car, which has no real value, while you insure your house. Everybody in the Caribbean has insurance in their car.
Right.
yeah,
So I don't really support that argument. I think it's a lot more than that. I think it's
okay.
a lot of misinformation and the fact that it's not going to happen to me. So I'm going to
Yeah.
write. I'm going to spend the money somewhere else. But it's unfortunate and very, very sad.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's going to be a long build back.
on the good side though, Ochi is partially open for the cruise ships. I've got a colleague
Oh.
of mine, my neighbor, just went down on a cruise. One of the first stops is in Jamaica.
Mm.
His mom hasn't had any real damage to her home, and he's glad to just get down, see some friends and family and stuff. And the port, the
Right.
cruise port is open, so the boats are stopping, so there's revenue. And
Right. Get
this,
some
this
activity
situation,
going.
there's a huge need for revenue, particularly U.S. currency in the island to continue the rebuilding
Yes.
process. So, I mean, what you can do is offer them up in prayer. Those of us who can help. There's a
Yeah.
lot of initiatives out there sending stuff down.
Yeah.
What caught my attention was when the younglies were on Dr. Vibe on Friday. They talk about seeds for the farmers. You
Yes.
won't think about stuff like that. Like, that was mind blowing. I'm like,
Right.
okay, that's very interesting because I mean, all the crops are damaged,
Yep.
Yep.
right? So you got to feed people, right? I mean, you can build your house back slow, but you got to eat 3 times a day at least, 7 days
Exactly.
a week. So that demand for seeds, to plant, replant stuff like that was very powerful, and that really hit me.
Yeah.
So I mean, just do a bit, there's a lot of folks sending stuff down. You're going to hear the good stories and the bad stories. I mean, anytime there's a crisis, there's always going to be challenges getting stuff to the right people and people,
Mm-hmm.
stuff going to the wrong place and getting stolen and stuff. But I mean,
Mm.
just do what you can
100%.
do.
Already in the house this morning. Frequency Event Promotion says, "Greetings, Dr. Vibe, Sir Real Estate McMillan, and Ryan Knight." And he said he's tuning in from the Toronto area. Well, good to have you from the
Yes,
Toronto
yes.
area as always, Mr. Frequency Event Promotion. And how's your world of networking?
Mhm.
We've got the Gala King on the screen here, Mr. Knight. We want to be able to call you the Network King. So
Yes,
How
yes.
was Atlanta? How was is this your first time going to Atlanta?
It was, yeah.
How did you
So
find the city? Like, what was that like? What was that traveling into America first as a Canadian? Like, what was that experience like? How did they treat you at the border?
yeah, getting
I know
there was
in
smooth. I would
all
say
countries,
it's interesting that the airports are very low human touch now. It's like checking
yeah,
in your bag, it's all on the little
yeah,
module, and you just throw your bag in. So getting there, you didn't really talk to a lot of people. But when I landed, I noticed a lot of workers were very tart. Like they're
yeah.
on edge already. So when I see other people interacting with them and like asking too many questions or just on their head, and then the responses aren't as jovial as they might be in regular
I
time.
remember there was a shutdown here. These guys weren't being paid; they were working for
But
free.
that's what I'm saying. It's like people are not
Had a
aware of the
conversation.
situation, right? It's like, hey, you have to bring joy to them. Like, people are on edge right now. But many people are very nice, like being able to just walk down the street and most people saying hi, good day. It like that vibe I really loved. And yeah, it was a great experience. Looking forward to going back. There's a couple business owners that I've had calls with this week just about what it would look like to set up a shop there. We're hoping the SBA, the Small Business Association, is back open. When I was there, I was talking to Dr. Vibe about the sign on the door that was like, nobody's here. We're not taking calls. We're not answering emails due
Mm.
to the government shutdown. And on their website, I wonder who wrote the notice because it was very accusatory of the Democrats that, hey, because the Democrats have they not, agreed the shutdown is happening, and if we with this great bill, I was like, wow, this is very,
Did
very
you see any Caribbean
leaning.
associations while you were in Atlanta? Any Caribbean business associations?
Yeah, so
There's a
the
large Caribbean population in Atlanta. There was
yeah,
other moved from New York City, New Jersey, about probably
we,
10, 20 years ago.
okay, because the Atlantic Black Chamber of Commerce, the Urban League, we were able to touch base with them, and
Mm.
then there was two innovation zones. There was the Russell Innovation Hub, which was close to the HBCUs near Morehouse and Spelman, and then the Roberts Innovation Group, they called it. So Michael Roberts, one of the billionaires in the U.S., he
Yes,
created this.
Michael Roberts. Yep.
Yeah. He created this innovation group, which is like six different disciplines ranging from esports and gaming to drones and STEM and AI. And so all of them help business owners integrate those things or go into those industries. Because they're saying esports and e-gaming is like a 200 plus billion-dollar
It
industry.
is.
Yeah.
And we're not developing enough games or even taking advantage of the sports side. So, and I remember going to like Madden football
Mhm.
contests back in the 2000s. And at that time, if we had leaned in and said, hey, this thing is going to take off, we'd be at the forefront of
Oh,
this
yeah. Oh, yeah.
esports, you
I mean, a
know?
lot of us are, like, I mean, I am a video game junkie.
So,
Yeah.
what was your games that you would play?
I played soccer and basketball.
Oh,
So
so the FIFA
I did a
series?
lot of FIFA and NBA
Yeah,
in
yeah,
real
yeah,
life.
yeah.
And I did a lot of the drive. I had the whole setup, the steering wheel, the shifter. I drove. I was a drive. I'm a
So
driver.
that was like Gran Turismo.
Yeah, I'm the Gran
Yeah,
Turismo
yeah,
guy.
yeah. My brother and I were on that hardcore.
Yeah.
Love
So
that game.
my last Xbox in Toronto got the Ring of Death, the red light. So I haven't played
Yes.
it yet, but I gotta get back into my gaming. How did
Okay.
you find the culture, um,
Hmm.
of the black energy in Atlanta compared to Toronto, to what you experienced in Toronto?
It was similar to what we tried to build with ACBN, where when there's a business owner and they engage with you, you know where to point them. That is like at times 10 in Atlanta.
Mhm.
Anything that you bring up, they're like, okay, you need to go here, you need to go there, you need to talk to this person. It's like they know exactly what to do to help you just build whatever you're thinking. And so
Mhm.
these innovation hubs, the way that they structure it is like all the government agencies and all the chambers, all of them are in there. So the SBA is in the Russell Innovation Hub, the Atlanta Chamber, Black Chamber of Commerce, the Urban League, all the different services that you would need are all in one place. So like 10 people that I talked to, they're like, "Oh, have you gone to the Russell Innovation Hub?" It's like so everybody knows where to go to get the
So do you
support.
think it's necessary for ACBN to take a field trip to Atlanta to really take it to the next level? So you
I
bring the
would
entire board
I would
down, and
love that.
all the decision makers, you bring them down and really, because I mean, what I find is that secondhand information is not as impactful as being there yourself and feeling. When I
Experiencing it.
first moved down here, I mean, you hear what living in America is like, but to be here and see it happen, I
Yes.
took a road trip with a gentleman on Friday through some
Mm.
historic black neighborhoods in Jacksonville, place called the Trout River, and you've got multi-million-dollar mansions sitting on the waterfront owned by
Okay.
black
Yes,
people,
yes.
like, and they've got these massive black historic neighborhoods that have been here for decades that nobody talks about. All you
Right,
see
right,
is negative
right.
stuff. So, you know, considering an ACBN field trip to Atlanta might really be something that's worthwhile doing. You've got very intense 4-day trip, and you
I
come down
like
to know
that.
all the people, and then probably reject the playbook. 'Cause, I mean, I don't see anything else that's happening. I don't get any communication from anybody else other than ACBN out of Canada.
Okay.
I get stuff from
Right.
Frequency every now and then.
Yeah.
But apart from, and First Riders, obviously, I mean, Warren does a stellar job. But apart from First Riders, ACBN, and Frequency, I don't see any kind of communication about anything happening business wise
Yeah.
And obviously, I get the buy black skin correspondence. I mean, I they
Yeah.
really, I get and I follow them on social media. So apart from those four bodies,
Mm.
there's not a lot, that happens.
And I think we can supercharge.
Speaking to my
Yeah.
son, um, sorry, Dr. Bob, I know you got to bring on the
No, no,
guest.
no. It's you're
You
having
brought
your
me on
bro.
this morning, guy. When I
Having
come
the
on, I'm
bro
gonna,
love in. So and
I,
Desiree is cool. She's all right. You two,
this is
like are having
important
your
stuff.
love
Right?
in. So
We're trying to build.
and also we want to highlight black men can communicate and work together. So keep on going for a
Yes,
bit.
yes.
Yeah. The problem that I've found when I talk to my kids, they have a total disconnect or total lack of knowledge of any of these black associations in Canada.
Gotcha.
And I don't think we've done a really good job engaging, I mean, second and third generation black African and Caribbean immigrants. I mean,
Right.
there's a couple who actually get into it, but it's, so the situation in the US is very different.
Hmm.
Difference in, I think, between living in Canada and the US, and I can speak from first-hand experience. In Toronto, I was black from the Caribbean. In America, I'm black with an accent.
Yes.
Big difference. So while I got a Guyanese Caribbean background,
Mm.
that is not the focus of who I am.
Right.
While the focus on, and it's important to maintain your Caribbean identity. I'm never going to tell you to shut it out. But I think too much emphasis is placed by too many people on that Caribbean identity, and it sort of pocket holes us into just these little cultural groups. But
Right.
here in the US, you're black, then everything else after that.
Right.
You go further on the food chain, it becomes less and less important. That'd be my experience being here permanently. It's very different. So I think a field trip is necessary to really
I
broaden.
love that idea.
And you see the way the business. I mean, you've seen what guys are doing here, man. You got contractors building multi-million-dollar projects and school projects and regular-looking black dudes in a regular pickup truck. It's nothing,
Yeah.
guys
And a
doing.
lot of them have integrated into getting like government contracts. So they're doing massive multi-million dollar. I met a roofer that's doing roofing for like the government and just mansions and whole townhouse complexes. So it's like, yeah, next level projects too. So you can learn so much from their activity.
That's really- Dr. Vibe, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Are you down for the road trip to Atlanta? We have to
Well,
start collecting
it seems that
potential.
it's necessary, but if we go to Atlanta, we definitely have to then go to Jacksonville and hang out with Ray too.
Yeah,
Damn.
it's a 5 hour drive. I mean, and
Yeah.
it's a nice drive. You come down, you stop in Savannah, Georgia, which is
Okay.
one of the most beautiful cities in the US, in my opinion. It's a
Right.
really nice historic city. You can 2 hours to Savannah, 2.5 hours to Savannah. You stop there, beautiful black restaurants, really nice places. Then another 2 hours to Jacksonville. And this is, it's the first coast, man. It's where everybody first landed in the US, Jacksonville, Florida.
Yes.
Great city, right? So I mean, we had our 2 days of winter. We had our winter ended. It started on, I think, on Tuesday, ended on Wednesday. Just below zero. So I had my winter ready. I stayed in,
Yes.
Oh,
earlier this year. So I mean, but the weather's back to normal. I was outside yesterday barbecuing.
Oh my
Grilling,
goodness.
barbecuing, grilling.
all
Yeah.
right. I'm gonna stop the bro love in for a moment because we do have a wonderful lady who wants to join us, though she's smiling and enjoying it in the background. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick break, and then when we come back from break, we're gonna do some housekeeping, and then we're gonna have Desiree King on with us. So we'll be back real quick.
Watch Black Canada Talking live on Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern, where Cesar and Dima Musa gives his takes and POVs on news stories from a Black Canadian perspective. You won't want to miss it.
Yeah, and Cesar was on fire again yesterday. And Ryan, just to tell you, he's actually been invited to speak at a conference in Dubai.
Whoa. Nice.
So it was really good stuff. So let's do some housekeeping. As always, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Substack. Also, if you have some time, join our Discord group. Email me at dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com or hit the link that's there. You also see that in the comment section. I know she's in the house. Dr. Tache, as I like to call her, or Dr. Tachi, powers Indie Suit Media, independent content creators platform, which I'm a part of. And it's about 20 to 30 independent content creators and over 28,000 YouTube subscribers. Remember, only 4% of all YouTube channels have even over 10,000 subscribers. And she's done that in about 21 months. So that's fantastic. And program alert. And I think Ray saw my post on this yesterday. If you are around today at 12 noon, very, very special guest. Has anyone heard of Black Enterprise Magazine?
Okay, yes.
Well, I am going to be speaking with the Senior VP, Executive Director of Black Enterprise Magazine today at 12 noon.
Okay. Aren't they doing an event in
They are
Toronto?
doing an event in Toronto this Thursday, and I don't go to I'm going to be honest, I wasn't thinking about going to the event, but someone called me on Friday saying they were in communication with their one of their head of digital there, and they wanted to do some interviews. And this person said, I thought of you first, Dr. Vibe.
Nice.
And within 2 hours, everything was coordinated, and actually spoke with Alfred Edmond Jr. on Friday evening to just get everything set up with today's conversation. I said, like, man, and I said, if you want, I can share a little bit about me. He says, no, Dr. Vibe, I've been following you for a while.
Okay, nice. Yes.
So this is, and not to say anything about myself, but just highlighting being consistent.
Absolutely.
Consistent in content creation is part of that. So we're going to be sharing today. I'm going to be at the event because he says, I'm expecting you at the event on Thursday. Yes, sir. And actually,
hey, if you're going, I'm going to try and go. I couldn't get tickets. I need that ticket.
No, you got to get the invitation, because I think the invitations close off. They may be the last day today. So go online. If you need a link, you tell me. But definitely, it's going to be held at the Manulife Global Headquarters on Bloor and Yonge.
Can't they just come and hold your media boxes? I'll hold your bags. You need the best boy that holds your.
Well, if you want, you can tag along with me. I'm more than up for it, but it's going to be a good thing. And actually, one of the people that speak on stage, I interviewed him a number of years ago, Raymond Ray. So I'm looking forward to meeting with him. So if you're around noon hour today, if not, catch the replay. Really excited about that conversation.
I'll make a plug for Black Enterprise right now. If you don't follow them on social media, you need to, because the content is unreal. I mean, when I first moved to Toronto, it was very hard to find Black business magazines.
Yep.
I'm talking about of magazine publications. I used to got to, go far and wide. There was W.H. Smith in those places back in the day. Those bookstores.
W.H. W.H. Smith. What?
There's another one also. But Black Enterprise was my go-to magazine. I had to get at every publication because, I mean, Toronto was very white during the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, so if people wonder, most people have heard of Forbes magazine. Well, think of
Forbes for Black people.
Yeah, there you go.
If you don't follow me on social media, you need to. I mean, the Business Insight, you hear people doing great stuff.
And it's actually a family business too, because the Graves family
that application
has been the driving force behind Black Enterprise. So it's a family business.
Oh, nice.
Because even the lady who's the head of digital, her last name is Graves.
Yeah.
So Graves Jr., Butch Graves, there's a whole. So if you want to be at a good place on Thursday, please check it out. We just lost Desiree, so hopefully she'll be back in just a moment. Oh, she is back. Good. No problem. All right. I thought we lost her for a minute. So let's just do some quick comments, and we're going to get Desiree on as soon as possible. So Frequency Event Promotion says, I heard a great proverb shared as, in devastation, there is great opportunity. Obviously referring to Jamaica. Not trying to sound negative, but is there any hope that can come out of the hurricane? And yeah, there is. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're Jamaican heritage, we are hard workers, and they're very hard workers, and I'm confident they'll build it back better. Frequency of Everyone says, did you say network? I just love that word. Well, are you going to be on there Thursday? That'd be a prime place for you, brother.
True.
BitNet's IQ Camp says, morning. Dr. Tache is in the house. Yes, good to hear you. Good to see you. Uh, look at this. Frequency of Air Promotion says, Ray, I'm going down. Ray, I'm going to buy you an oxtail dinner with whatever you'd like to drink. So I guess, so we'll hold him to that next time you're in town, Ray, unless he wants to come on our road trip.
I
Right,
don't eat
right.
meat. I don't eat frequency.
And then he says, Dr. Vibe, Ray Real Estate McMillan, and Ryan Dragon Slayer Knight. It's time to connect. Dinner on me. You see that?
All right.
Find a nice seafood spot and I'll show up.
All right. So there we go. So dinner is going to be on, and we'll take a picture of it and we'll make it happen. But after an exhausting few moments, and we are going to bring Desiree finally to the stage. And no fault of mine, I couldn't stop the love in, but Desiree is here. Good morning, Desiree. How you doing?
Good morning. I was quickly trying to sign up to go to this event you're talking about. I'm on my
Yeah,
way
well,
here.
yeah,
I will get you a ticket.
Thank you.
We'll
I
both
will
go and
get
help carry his bags.
Yes,
We'll get
yes.
in.
no, yeah, I definitely. And you know what I'll do if I can find it during the conversation? I'll put the link on the screen and actually put it in the chat if
Yeah.
anyone wants to sign up for it. So that yeah, because I think I've seen it in my Instagram feed because I follow Black Enterprise, but I don't know if they've promoted it. I don't know if they promote it as much as they'd like to.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see. But Desiree, good to have you back. What's been going on in your world?
Oh man, so much. First of all, I had to jump in on the video game talk.
Oh, here we go.
Yay.
Women video game too. So I liked my NBA Jam, the football game.
Yes.
That's how I learned football, was playing the game. Mike Tyson knockout, let's not forget.
Oh, you can't forget that one.
Boom.
Crime Streets of LA. Um, Mortal Kombat. I could go in on that.
I'm teaching my son about Street Fighter right now. I was like, you got to learn characters and theme music. Like, let's get on.
Mhm.
It's overdue.
And your key movements. Yeah, so I
Yes.
was a gamer as well. But outside of that, I just came back about a week ago from my first cruise, which was absolutely amazing. I think everyone should experience taking a cruise at least once in their life
Yeah.
and just, get the vibe. It's a vibe. It's definitely a vibe. No pun intended, Dr. Vibe.
Nice. Which area of the world did it go to?
So we started off in Panama. I stayed in Panama for 2 days on the Pacific side, and then we went over to the Caribbean side in Corona, and we sailed to Cartagena. Then we went to Curacao and Aruba.
Okay, sweet.
How much time did you spend in dock in those places? Were you able to like see stuff and enjoy it?
Yeah, so we spent about 8 hours, I'd say, in each place, roughly.
A lot of time.
So yeah, I got to do a lot of beaches. My biggest lesson was that Aruba is not a tropical island; it's a desert. So
Oh,
that for me, like when we were driving around, I'm like, why are there so many cactuses? I mean, cactuses in abundance.
wow.
So and then we had the tour guide, and it's actually a desert. It's very dry, very safe, but very very dry, very very hot.
Do I have permission to interrupt just for a second?
Yes.
Okay. The link is on the screen, and also I've sent it out in the comment section
Yep.
on all the people who are watching this live or on replay. There are about 3.5 hours left to register.
Gotcha. Nice.
All right. So there's 3.5 hours to register for the event. I just wanted to get that up in real time. So I'll let the cruise people continue.
Yeah.
What was your best experience, Desiree, and your worst experience? I've never gone on a cruise. I'm a destination traveler. I fly to where I
Okay.
gotta go. I gotta change that.
Yeah, I love cruises. I've been on one, but getting to
Okay.
experience
Girl
multiple
here.
places, I love that
You
concept.
been on any cruise, Dr. Bite?
Never been on a cruise.
Yeah, I've done a lot of traveling, never gone on a cruise. What was
Yeah.
your best experience and your worst experience? Or if you have more than one of each, you can share them with us so I can get the idea what I should do.
Yeah. So my best experience, honestly, is there's nothing like well. So we had a room with a nice deck, like a nice balcony. I wasn't gonna just be in a round cubby hole looking out the window. That wasn't happening. So we had a balcony, and my best experience was actually just sitting out there and looking at how much water there is and how big the world really is. That you could be in the middle of this and still be a little speck in the middle of all of this on this big 10-foot, 10-story boat. It was amazing. It was just like it's different when you're in the air, but when you're on the ground looking at it, and like I was saying earlier, when you see these poor birds trying to struggle and find somewhere to go, but there's nowhere to go and fighting
Ooh,
against the wind and whatnot,
yeah.
it's really humbling. I call it humbling, and it's really peaceful. So that was one of my best experiences. And then how many things can go on this big thing that's floating? Again, it's this big, humongous.
Like a mini city.
Yes, it's like Eaton Center floating. Remember, Eaton Center is built
Yeah,
after a cruise
yeah.
ship. That's what it felt like with the elevators and all these different things
Okay.
going on. What I didn't like about it though was it felt like I was in a mall floating. So you're in a mall, you're doing your thing, people are doing. You talk to a few people, but people aren't really engaging, and especially
Mm.
it was very Spanish. So it was about 90%. Nothing against the Spanish people, love you. But it wasn't, I like my Caribbean type of vibe as well. So for me, I had an app. Like, the people on the cruise, like the staff, they spoke, but when I had my app for translating.
Right,
Because
right,
that kind of Spanish, they speak really fast Spanish. So even if you understand Spanish, not that one. You have to have your app
right.
catch on to what they're saying because they'll just get going. So that was it. But then when I came back, my worst experience, though, I will say, happened when I got back. I didn't get seasick on the cruise. When I got back, the next morning I'm standing in my house and I'm like, why are we swaying? So I
Oh
had
no, it's like leftover.
headache. I had to, like, 2 days I was out because I wasn't drunk, wasn't having a hangover, but I was literally swaying on land trying to. You didn't realize that you adapted to the sway, although you didn't feel it really. You adapted to it on the boats. When you got back on land, you're like, okay, something is a little bit off.
Whoa,
Which
gotcha.
cruise line was it, Desiree?
Pardon?
Which cruise line was it?
It was Royal Caribbean, Royal Caribbean.
Oh, Caribbean.
We're on Serenade of the Seas.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's expensive. Like it's a tip here, tip there, tip everywhere. They charge for everything. I wanted to iron my clothes. I'm just looking for an iron, a simple iron.
Yeah.
$17 for them to iron like 5 or 6 pieces of clothes. I was like, come on now. I'm
I
not
can see you
Whoa.
next time, man.
I don't like nickel and diming. Just put it in the cost and and iron my clothes, or give me an iron. Like, get a
Yes.
sponsor, get Phillips, somebody to sponsor, not branding Phillips, but give me a sponsor and give me an iron. So I was annoyed by that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, will you do another one?
Yes, I will. And internet's expensive as well because I had to work still. I was still working.
Yeah.
So internet was like 300 US for the week for one
Yeah,
week.
we had to skip that. We're like, man, we're just gonna be disconnected. When we saw the price for the internet connection, I was like, what is this?
Wow.
For one connection, it was really expensive, but I just kept flipping between devices, between myself, my laptop, my phone, and my husband. We just kept switching, but it was expensive, but it did work. I
Yeah.
can't be disconnected that long. It won't work. I mean, Ray, you know the business. To be disconnected that long when you really don't have a
I'm
backup,
not in the
I
same
can't.
space anymore, Desiree. I disconnect very easily now.
Yeah,
Oh
okay.
yeah.
I
I'm not
got it
there.
done. I'm gone. When I come back, the world's going to pick up where I left off.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
no, I was working on deals and everything. I just told everybody I switched offices. My clients didn't even know I was gone for the most part. There was no reason for
That
them.
was my mandate in life to not
Mm,
connect to the world when I leave my office. And I got there
Yeah,
about 8 years ago.
yeah, no. But
nice.
yeah, it was great. I mean, it's definitely something to try. My goal on my 60th birthday would be, though, to try one of the more private yacht experiences with probably 12 to 14 of my closest friends and make it
Mhm.
something more intimate. The big grandeur thing, I'm a very private person, so it's a lot of people.
Right.
So I didn't even go in the pool or the hot tub. So I'm like, I'm not doing this communal business because the pool was too small for all that people that was in the pool. So
Yes, yes.
it was
Got
too communal for me.
All right. Well, this is good. Well, we got someone with a comment here. What are they saying? Oh, Roger Dundas is in the house. Says, "Good morning, fam. Just got
Yeah.
back from the. Look at this. Just got back from the same cruise.
Oh,
Had
wow.
the same swaying
Oh,
effect.
nice.
There you go.
What, the same
I'm
cruise
wondering.
ship or the same
I
area?
think Roger. You told me you were going. I think it may have been maybe the same. He just got back.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So
Very
this is good. This is good. Well,
Yeah.
past video games, past cruises, past
trip to Jacksonville.
hanging out with the guys. We are here And unfortunately, this is the last episode of the Craft series.
Uh,
Yes, it is.
And it's
Oh,
designed to provide insight, resources, real support to anyone invested in healthy aging and strong family connections within Black communities. And today, Desiree wants to talk about time well spent creating meaningful moments and memories. So I'm going
yeah.
to ask you first, Desiree, what does time well spent mean to you when it comes to family and aging?
Yeah. So I think time well spent really brings together the whole meaning of the craft series. So we talked about C, which was clarity, figuring out really where you are, what are your goals, what are your priorities. Then we talked about research, so looking at what your options are. Then we talked about assessing your needs, which are where are you now? What is your current living situation? Where would you like to be? What are your personal needs? And we talked about finding resources. Time really brings it all together because it makes us realize, although we have all these plans in place, let's slow down and listen to what our loved one is truly saying. Let's listen to their stories because a lot of them making a move has to do with storytelling. Like a lot of times when I go in to see a client at first, especially a Caribbean client, before we even begin to have a discussion on anything about the reason why I'm there, I've got to sit down and have a beef patty and a tea or something with them and hear stories and whatnot. So, stories and having the time to be patient and listen to them are really the essence of everything I talk about in the craft method and bringing it together and slowing down and really pacing ourselves now to put these steps into action.
gotcha.
I'll follow up with another conversation piece. Why is it important for families to intentionally create meaningful moments with their elders?
I think the biggest thing I see is that it creates a sense of purpose. Hearing their wisdom and their advice, it really gives them a sense of purpose that they're being heard and they're not being forgotten. Because a lot of times when you're older, people really don't take the time to listen to your stories or they find it boring. But especially in the Caribbean community, our elders are gatekeepers to these stories and to a lot of our legacies and our heritage. So I think that's one of the most important reasons why it's important to create these meaningful conversations and give them that time back.
Yeah, have you found interesting ways to capture those stories? Because I noticed, like you said, the oral tradition to keep it going might
Yeah.
be tricky for us to replicate the story. Were there ways to capture it?
Well, I know back in the days they would have. I've run across clients who have like books or albums where they have prompts and the person would fill it out. There's a really great app I discovered with a vendor when I was on one of my show when I was doing one of my presentations. It's called Kin Capsule, and it's free right now. But it's this guy. It's really smart. It's more tech based. It's
Hmm.
online, and it's kind of like private social media for families. Is how I would describe it.
Okay.
So he's still in the beta phase, but it's for free, and you kind of get your own private capsule. So think of like what a capsule looks like. It encapsulates everything. You
Hmm.
go in there and you share these stories, but you're also able to keep them online as well.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I'll check that out.
All
Yeah.
right, just to interrupt, Roger said that when they were on their cruise, we only had internet on days at sea,
Hmm.
and they took Royal Caribbean Serenade of the Seas.
That sounds like the same one.
Oh,
There you
did you
go.
go to the same area, Roger? You
I
you
think
guys
they
were
went.
on the
I
same
think yeah, they went to Panama. I know he was saying. I know they went to Panama and some other ports
Yeah.
as well. So probably we're on the same thing.
That is so cool.
See
We're
that?
on the same. And, and gentlemen, any other conversation? I can keep on going.
Hmm.
Another important reason I would say too is that when you're having these conversations and you're taking the time, it's more intimate when they're sharing these stories with you. So when you do have to get to the more perceived difficult conversations, like downsizing, like estate planning, like what's next, like getting your wills and estates planned and all that stuff, they're more comfortable. You're not just coming in as this family wanting to know their business. You're already sharing and engaging with them. So it's more of a relaxed environment and more respectful as well for a smoother transition.
So what are some creative ways families can make the most of time together, even when life is busy?
Mhm.
Well, Caribbean people cook together, right? Love to cook. So I love it. I do it with my daughter right now. I'm passing down things, cooking together. Cooking is a great way to pass down these traditions and whatnot. A lot of our parents, they just know a sprinkle of this, a dash of that. It's not really a recipe per se. So it's a good time when you can actually sit down and kind of try to pen it out, because some of these recipes can be lost once that person passes away, the way they used to do it. Another one is having mini rituals. So, say every Sunday, the family gets together, especially if the family is separated all over the world, get on a Zoom call and have like a half an hour call. It helps engage your loved one, number one, in technology, but you also get the whole family there. And this is something they look forward to now. One thing I do realize is that older people, they do look forward to rituals. So, when I had my prescription delivery company, it was interesting because most of those prescriptions we delivered were for seniors, but they would literally sit there waiting to see you on that day deliver their prescription, because a lot of times they probably haven't engaged with someone else for the whole week. So having a nice ritual is something they look forward to.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember when I used to deliver the Toronto Star in the morning, 5
Oh,
a.m.
are
and
there pictures of this?
people would be waiting in the morning for the
Yes.
paper. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it
So
becomes that routine, right?
since our audience is staying quiet, I've got a question for our audience. I've put it in the comments section of all the platforms, but a live one. What's one small thing your family does always that turns into a great memory?
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Desiree. So
Yes.
Go
as
ahead.
the as the professional in the interaction, how has these conversations with people sharing their memories and their stories impacted you? And has that impact want you made to take changes in how you navigate your future, your aging process?
It has. It definitely has. Like for me, definitely it helps me how I engage with my daughter from this age now where I am and where she is in her early 20s, and making sure that we do have these rituals and whatnot. Like for example, yesterday we took the time out to we were working, both of us, but we took the time out to go to the spa together. And we spent all day there, and that was like something that we did together just to have that time. She lives in Kingston, so we do have, weekly calls where we sit down and we have 20 minutes, kind of like a debriefing. It's helped me as well in my own relationship with my mother, because we had a more of a strained relationship, but it's made me realize that while she's here, it's never too late to begin having that relationship, whether it's just a text, a phone call, an image. Start small, regardless of where your relationship was with that person. So it's definitely helped me framed it. With the work I do, I'm always thinking about aging and what does aging look like. I can't help but do. And I think about aging good, aging bad, all sorts of aging. So it definitely, I wouldn't call it a paranoid state, but it definitely has me in an enhanced and aware state of the things I do and how I do it and how I interact with others as I age myself. And also record keeping. Like I went into my one of my old email accounts yesterday, and I looked at my Google Drive, the photos folder. There's a whole bunch of photos that are not even sorted or anything. So I started to kind of put them together in folders with names of what they were and whatnot. Again, because it's storytelling. You never know, we all hope to age well and be healthy, but you never know what afflictions may come, i.e., dementia, where your memory may be fading. And it would be nice to have these things in folders where if that did, God forbid, happen with me, at least there are things that my loved ones can use as triggers to show me and show that, here, remember these photos, that may help trigger my memory as well. So it definitely has helped shape how I interact with others, my own family, and how I interact with myself.
Desiree, you bring up a story I want to share in regard, and Ray, your conversations bring it up. My dad, when he celebrated his last birthday, I was there hanging out with him, and we went downstairs, and I just asked him to do some reflection. And my dad had a man cave long before man cave. Yeah, he has man cave with boxes of 45s,
Yeah.
vinyl albums, reel to reel recorder, Macintosh amplifier, turntables, the whole bit. And he just sat in his chair and he just, started to chat. And I was asking him questions. And by the grace of God, I had my iPad with me and I recorded the whole conversation.
Ah, nice, nice. Yes.
And when he finished, he said, "You know what? I like this. We got to do some more of this. So we're going to be doing part two
Oh, good, good.
very, very soon. But I just asked some questions, and there were a lot of things I had no idea about. And I was so blessed to have them documented
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I can play that back for years and years to come. So I think it's a really important thing to document it. And the technology's there to do it.
Yep.
Definitely.
And a
Yep.
lot of it is user friendly.
Yes, it is. Even using Zoom, like Zoom does the audio and video transcription as well. So even just having a Zoom call and just recording it, and you get all that information right there. I actually so November's Fall Prevention Month for those of you that don't know, and
Okay.
I've actually for the month on my Instagram, I've dug up in my crates and my archives from like 5 years ago when I decided to have this audacious goal of doing an interview or some type of post every day for the month of Fall Prevention Month. So
Mhm.
I dug up in the crates and I'm doing clips of it. And one of the interviews I shared the other day was what's it's like to be in your 80s, where I'm speaking to a lady in her 80s and she's taking me through her journey of being in her 80s, retirement, aging, what it looks like. So
Right.
again, things like that, and just hearing her again speak about it, it was just amazing. It still brought back memories, and it was like, wow, this is really a nice thing because I'm sure she doesn't even remember that interview, but I have it here, and
Is she still with us?
she's still with us. She is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. She's
That is
88 now. 88 now. Yeah,
that's fantastic. That's
yeah.
fantastic. Let me ask, how can caregivers avoid burnout and still find joy in the time they spend with loved ones?
Ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. That's the biggest thing. I think a lot of times when you have families, even though there's many siblings, let's say that there are siblings, there's always usually one person who really takes the reign and spearheads everything. And that one person is usually going, has their own things going on, maybe their own family, their job, whatever else. And it's okay to ask for help and reach out to your other siblings, your extended family, and let them know that you can't do this alone. And remember your purpose. Why are you doing this? It's out of love. Because a lot of times, if you don't ask for that help or get what's called respite care for yourself, where you get a break, you love the person, but you can become resentful if it becomes tedious. So you
Right.
do need to take that time to breathe, step away, and then step back into the situation. I would also say document memories. When we were caregivers for my mother in law, who's no longer with us, she was very feisty. So I have a whole notepad full of things that she would say to me or the caregivers that were hilarious. But
Mhm.
you just had to look at it and just laugh and just don't get vexed, just jot it down because I remember one time we had the caregiver and she never used to like to walk. So we would always tell the caregiver, try to get her to walk. So the caregiver kept asking her, do you want to go for a walk? You want to go for a walk? And she looked at the caregiver and said to her, look, girl, you have nothing to do with yourself. Just have a seat. Have a seat. Like it was like it's feisty, but it's like okay,
Yes, yes.
you know what I mean. So those little things, and those little things now, even when we had her funeral, those little things are part of what bring back that joy in her memory because it was the essence of her personality.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I'm thinking of a couple I know, very good friends, and the husband, his mother lived downtown Toronto and basically couldn't take care of herself anymore. So they have brought her into their home,
Mhm.
and she's a lot of times being disrespectful to him,
Ooh,
and
that.
it's he's taking it very hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very hard. Do you offer suggestions where sometimes the relationship is not that great for a caregiver when they're trying to help a relative?
Well, the first thing is, does she have any cognitive challenges? I would ask.
I think she does.
Because if she does, then I would like we're going through it right now with my my mother-in-law's twin sister. We have her now in the house.
Okay.
So it's again, I would recommend even to her because a lot of times when I think seniors are going through things and changes cognitively, they recognize it in themselves, but they themselves are not aware of what is happening. Now, I'm not a physician, but I'm just giving
Right.
my outlook.
Yep.
They recognize what's happening. So I've recommended with my husband and his brother, you should probably take her to the doctor and see a geriatrician and have her assessed because once she's assessed, and if we do see that she has early onset dementia or whatever it may be with the memory issues and the accusations, we got accused of teething a rolling pin. Who takes a rolling pin?
Right.
So once you understand what's going on and they understand what's going on, not to say give it a label, but you understand what is happening, it helps you cope better, and you can find different coping methods to understand why this person is doing this or bring them back to reality with it. So that would be my first suggestion, because you have to understand when someone has any type of dementia, Alzheimer's, that is not the person, that is not their identity. They're still the person that they are. So understanding what is happening is the first step to coping with challenging behavior. Now, if she's always been challenging, she may just be aging into a more challenging person. That's a whole
Right.
different dynamic, right? So
Yes.
you have to know what the relationship was, what it is, and also if they're more challenging, get an assessment. I would say definitely get an assessment to have everybody understand more. And it'll help them understand as well what's happening with themselves.
I think it's one of the hidden challenges that many of us face, that we're not prepared to
Hmm.
take care of our parents.
No,
Well, there's no playbook, and
no, not.
everybody ages differently.
Mm.
I mean, some folks may develop medical conditions that leave them dependent on certain on prescriptions. Some folks may develop mobility issues, and then some folks may develop cognitive issues, or all three.
Hmm.
Um, and for us who are in our 50s and 60s, who have parents living, we're dealing with a generation of children, offspring, who are much more dependent on us today
Yeah.
than many of us were on our own parents. So we are squashed in this generation,
Hmm.
or in this, like a sandwich that is being pulled at from very different angles,
Hmm.
But definitely, think about the time well spent in meaningful moments. Um, how do you define those? Like, I mean, what is time well spent when you're 85 years old or 75 years old? And what exactly does that really mean?
What is time well spent? I think it's disconnected. Number one, an 85-year-old or someone in their 80s or 70s may not quite get the devices. So if you're sitting there talking to your loved one, but you're texting or you're disconnected, you're on your phone or your device, that's not time well spent. I think it's putting aside that time literally where you're not distracted by anything else and you're literally seeing that person for who they are. It may not even be a conversation. It may be that they like to play games or enjoy puzzles or dancing. I find dancing is a great one. Playing some old time tunes that they used to like and just dancing and getting the stories behind it. So I think it's really being purposeful in your engagement with that person, doing whatever it is that they like to do. There's a really, really great video. I think it's by, oh, is it Maximilian? I can't remember. I think it's his name. But he does this thing where he goes, it's his grandma's 90-year-old birthday, and he goes and sees her. And you see him taking her in her wheelchair, and they go shopping. She's trying on different outfits. And then he surprises her with a surprise party with all her friends there. And then this guy comes knocking at the door dressed like a fireman, and it's a male stripper. And you have all these 90-year-olds like,
Oh,
"Ah, he's
wow,
not even,"
right.
but it's like, "Yeah, they're still human. They still have feelings." So very, I'll send the link to the video, but the video is very, it touches on the point of meaningful time. She liked to shop, she liked to dance, and she enjoyed having her friends over and having, tea and cake and whatever. And then they had this entertainment come over.
Okay.
So I
Yes.
think it's really just meeting the person at where they're at and doing the things they enjoy doing. And you know what? That even works when the person even is in a state where they're not as cognitive. Just lying there, probably bedridden. I remember my mother-in-law again. She would lie there, and we would play some old tune calypsos on a cell phone right by her ear, and you would see movement. Her eyes would flicker and open.
Yes.
So again, that is meaningful, even though the person's not engaging, but you can see the interaction was still happening.
How do we remain patient with them as they go through their changes? Because, I mean, caring for an elderly,
Hmm.
I've had this experience since I was in my teens and 20s, caring for my grandmother,
Hmm.
as more as the primary caregiver once she started to get going to the state of dementia, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I was young and I had a different level of tolerance then. And I mean, I
Right.
love a whole lot. But I find I have less tolerance now for people, generally speaking. I'm very honest and very candid.
Yes,
So
yeah.
how do you as a caregiver um, elevate your tolerance level, right? To work with people, sorry, um, to be with a loved one and have those meaningful moments as you go through
Yeah.
what might be their last years with us. How do you
Yeah.
manage that dynamic, manage my own distractions, my own stresses in life and that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So, number one, first and foremost, as I said in the beginning, I think it comes down to respite care, giving yourself that time to breathe. I'm a firm believer that if you're taking care of a loved one, even with kids, get help. So, hire someone who is trained, like a PSW, to come in. And I'm not talking about the task, I'm talking about to spend time with that person and give them ideas on what to do with this person as well. So, it's not all on you. Even as a single mother, I had a nanny, a live-in nanny for my daughter, so I never fully parented all those roles. Because could you imagine being a single parent doing all this stuff? It's the same as having a loved one at home and then coming home and having to engage with a child watching Dora Dora. No, I didn't do that. I had a live-in nanny who dealt with my child. So when you have this person as well, whether the caregiver lives with you, that's very expensive for your loved one, or they come over for a certain number of hours a day, certain number of times a week, have that. Number two, I recommend to a lot of my clients if they do recognize that their loved one has been diagnosed with any form of dementia, then also there's a course called the GPA Gentle Persuasion Approach. It is a course that's for professionals, but family members can go on and take it. It's not limited to anyone, and it really helps you understand how to distinguish between the person and the diagnosis. It
Hmm.
lets you understand that when they're resisting, if you're saying, okay, come, let's do this, and they're resisting, how to work with them and circle back around to get them to do what you want to do as opposed to forcing them. So, educating yourself. Educating yourself. If you're new to it, educate yourself. That is a great course for that particular diagnosis. And sometimes you just have to take a breath and walk away and come back to the situation. Take a deep breath, walk away and come back. Because sometimes you'll find conversations are just circling, you're circling, you're circling. So walk away and come back and take a deep breath. And again, engage other family members as well. Don't take the load off on your own because it can be a weighty load to carry. So I think between all those things, it does help. It's like dealing with a child. Children can get very annoying, although you love them, but you find
Right?
they can. You love them, but they can be.
True. True.
So
Yes.
you find ways. It's the same way of find once a man, twice a child. You find those ways to cope and realize that if you're having a bad day, it may not be a good day to engage as much as you normally do. So have a caregiver come in or someone else come in because you don't want to take your load off on them.
Mr. Ryan.
Yeah, always good seeing you, Desiree. My apologies, I do have to jump to this next meeting, but I did want to follow up with you to get ideas on what events and activities that our seniors would love to do. So I know we had been brainstorming some ideas, so looking forward to following up with you. But always
Yes.
good
All right,
seeing you,
Ryan.
always good seeing you, Ray. We
All
shall
right.
talk soon.
Ryan,
Take care.
and plan that road trip, guy. Bring the boys.
There we go. Road trip. All right. So we're continuing the conversation. Let me just do some
Yeah,
quick.
that was very insightful. Desiree. I mean, like one of the challenges,
Mhm.
is, I mean, for some of us, life can get very complex and complicated, particularly based on, what you do as a profession.
Yeah.
And managing that parent, I mean, managing a child is very different. I mean, you can send a child to their room, you can take away the TV privilege, you can, take away their Game Boy or whatever the games they're playing. But the whole parent dynamic, you want to enjoy. If your parent is aging out, or you're, if there's a close family member, aunt or uncle, you want to make their time enjoyable. But at times it can be challenging, and those interactions can be very, very challenging.
Hmm.
Like a lot of time, you find older folks repeat themselves.
Yes.
You hear that same story every
My
single
dad.
day. I'm not in the mood to hear this story today. Like, okay, can you like put a pause on the story right now and let me hear it next month again? I don't want to hear this right now. So and what do you suggest? I mean, you give some suggestions, but like we all have different personalities.
Yeah.
So you want to be around these individuals. They took care of you when you were 3, 4, 5 years old. They loved you and nurtured you. But how do you know when to not be around them?
Again, I think it's really about, okay, so if you're set aside time when you will be present, and although you've heard these stories before, you're listening to these stories. So set aside time for that. And other times when they're doing it, I would say you're listening, but you're not actively listening. A lot of times they really want to have the story, but you're listening, but you're not actively listening. And if you reach a point where you know that your tolerance level is not there, I still come back around to it may be a little bit more expensive, but having a professional caregiver who is paid to sit there and listen to these stories over and over again until you're back in a space where you want to engage. And you may be surprised when you do set aside that time to listen and engage with the story, what you may learn if you ask questions as opposed to just listening as well. So actively listening and actively asking questions, you may find out stuff about your family history you didn't even know and find some of that legacy within the story as well. So I do honestly think if it's just you and you don't really have anyone around you, then hire someone to come in and do the listening for you. And then set aside your own personal time to actively listen as well.
Mhm.
I just want to share Desiree's contact information on screen. It's already in the comments section and all the platforms, whether you're watching
Mhm.
live or on replay, but there it is: website, Instagram, Facebook, email. I have a conversation piece for you also in regards to how do you handle the emotions that come up during family gatherings, especially if there's grief or unresolved issues?
Okay, so that is a tough one. Just before I answer you, though, I would also say, Ray, there are day programs for seniors as well. So if the person is home in the day and you're working from at home, you can find a day program, kind of like an
Right.
adult daycare that they can go to as well. So at least they're gone for a certain number of hours and then back at home as well with you.
Good,
Um,
good to know.
Dr. Vibe, to touch on that point now, difficult family situations are just that. They're challenging. They can get very uncomfortable. Because for me, I've been in those situations and I don't really want to overstep my boundaries as well because it can turn badly onto me. So I would suggest if you see that, possibly suggest a professional third party person who is a
Yeah.
mediator to help work on those situations with them. I myself would not engage in those conversations. I would suggest probably to the main person who's my main contact person within the family that they bring in a mediator if they'd like to help resolve these issues. But I know I have my own family dynamics, like I said, with my own.
Every family does.
And when people try to get involved with that, I'm like, listen, stay out. And that's me in my own situations. So you have to know your boundaries. As a professional, you have to know
Mm,
your boundaries. And that's why I call myself, if I don't have the answer, I have the right resources that can help you. So for that, it would be bringing a resource in, a therapist who
yes.
would be able to help them navigate that situation.
Good to know. Good to know. We're coming up It's coming close to the end of the year. How has your
Mhm.
year been professionally?
I can't believe it's the end of the year already. I've had a great year. Like I started off this year with this idea in my mind that yes, I'm launching my brokerage now. I got it approved end of February. As a matter of fact, the same day that my brokerage got approved, my mother-in-law passed.
Oh, my condolences.
And yeah, so I was literally, and that happened. I remember my husband coming into the room. I was on a Zoom call and telling me, and I had to look at him and say, okay, go back to work because I still had to continue doing what I was doing while I was balancing these emotions. Came off the phone, went with him to the hospital. Thank goodness she had everything pre planned. That made life a whole lot easier. So, pre planning for those that don't have it, do it if not for you, for your family members, because it helps ease the burden. And then we went through her funeral, and literally at her funeral, we did the funeral. On the drive to the burial, I was working. So I've really been juggling. I've learned to manage pain with progression, with everything else. And then, got the brokerage started, prayed to God to give me this brokerage, let it get approved, and then prayed to Him to say, do I really want this? because it was that much more work. Like I'm in a perpetual work mode right now. But with that, I will say at a time when a lot of the real estate market, we all know it's challenging. Right now, it's challenging. The market is tough. At a time when it's tough, I would say it's been one of my best years. So,
Good
in
to
the
hear.
middle of it all, I have seen blessings. And I would say maybe it's one of my best years because the demographic I deal with, it's not really about what's happening right now. If they need to make a move, they need to. You
Right.
know, it's a needs based move, not a want based move or a luxury based move. So someone passes away again, it's a sale because the person's passed away, need to dispose of. So it's overall, it's been a I've seen strength in myself this year that I knew I had strength, but I've seen more strength that I didn't know I had. It was really a character building year for me to start with all the things that I've been through.
Congratulations. That's
I'm
fantastic.
happy to hear that, Desiree, because I know that that real estate space can be one. It looks glamorous on the outside, but that's a very challenging industry to navigate. Particularly what's happening now in much of North America. You know, you've got rates, but you're right. I mean, even as for us, and I'm not actively involved in doing mortgage anymore, but we had an agent database. And one of the things that we did, you know, is we shifted towards dealing with clients who were over 65
Mhm.
because there were specific products that are designed for that niche group that were the underwriting process was much easier.
Yeah.
Uh, and they, as you said, they need a product. So it's not like they were like trying to find a rate shopping or the deal fell through because, you know, the offer was different. So you know, but you've got like for us, and I think, you know, you've got, you know, you've got your aunt-in-law now and your daughter trying to navigate her life. We got to find that time and find that thing. That's why I said to you earlier, I check out, right? I am not working while I'm on a cruise. The world
Yeah.
will go on. You know, I look at it this way. If I drop dead tomorrow, you're gonna find somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my 7 days and be checking my emails for 4 or 5 hours a day. I am not. I did that, you know, 10, 15, 20 years ago. We're no longer young in this business. Um, and because of the challenge we face of dealing with, you know, parents and aunts and uncles and even sometimes older siblings, because some of us may be the youngest sibling. You know, you've got 8 siblings. I'm the youngest one. There's a 20-year gap between myself and I don't have an older sibling that older. I'm the eldest. But we have
Right.
older siblings who may have, you know, have all sorts of issues, you know, so, but let me ask you a question. You know, have you found in your travels dealing with people, with seniors, people who have dependent adult children, where they've got some sort of challenge, whether you got an adult child autism or learning disability. So you got somebody who was in the 80s, they got a 50-year-old child who's been dependent on them all their life. How does that whole dynamic fit in to the aging process, enjoying your last years, preparing for that child's rest of life? Like, how do you, as a consultant, have that conversation with those individuals?
I've encountered that, to be honest, once in my career.
Okay. Okay.
And it was a lady who was in her 80s. Her husband was in the 80s as well. He was a retired physician. She was a retired RN nurse. Their
Hmm.
daughter had MS,
Hmm.
and she was in her 50s and had it from her early 20s. They lived at home. The mother, because she was in that healthcare space, had the whole downstairs converted into a hospital room. They had the Hoyer lift, the bed, they had their whole flow
The
of
only child had siblings.
there were other siblings, but they weren't partaking. And this person already had kids as well, but they weren't really involved. So it was on the mother. The father just kind of stayed laid back and watched the mother go. And again, because she was in this space and she loved her daughter so much, she would not let her go into long-term care. The lady was pretty much a vegetable. I mean, so much so that she had to do the suction in her throat to get
Oh my.
phlegm.
Yep.
But because the mother was a nurse, she was doing that.
But
And
she's aging now.
she's aging, but that's the thing. So I saw her in this space and I saw her taking care of this daughter. And this is when I was in home care, not in the real estate space either. It
Mhm.
was when I was in home care. And I saw her doing this and I was amazed at how well she was doing it. Number one, she was doing it well because the way the cleanliness level, I was bringing in PSWs for her. So I got to see the whole rundown of her daily regimen. I don't know how she was keeping up. And to be honest, I lost contact with the family since COVID happened. So I'm not sure what happened with the daughter, but it did concern me because even when the mother wanted to take a trip, I remember she was a Jamaican lady, she wanted to take a trip. She was more busy organizing the care for the daughter when she was gone. So like I said, the husband didn't really take part in much. He just kind of sat back and I could sense that he probably would like to have interceded, but didn't because the mother was doing what she was doing. She was being that mama bear.
You didn't know how. A lot of times, as men, we don't know how that. We don't know how to do it. We just
He
don't.
just sat back. He just sat back. But it was difficult watching this situation. You got to think you have a 50-year-old lady who's bedridden.
Mhm.
Okay. She's been like this since her 20s, non communicative. And she's still a woman who is still menstruating, going through things like these, right? To really
Oh my.
think about what that was like for this mother. And like I said, doing the tubing when she had, phlegm in her throat to make sure she didn't choke with the feedings and stuff. So I can't even begin to imagine what that's like. And that is really a whole other next level of challenges. I don't want to call it stress, I'll call it challenges.
Challenge. Yeah, that's a challenge.
It's really a challenge. So I saw it from the healthcare perspective. But with that, I would recommend someone really get their financial planning in order on what it looks like once they're gone and
Yeah,
have their power
at
of
some
attorney
point,
in
you're going
order.
to lose parents. Then you have
Yeah,
this child who's a total dependent.
yeah,
Now, is it fair to put that pressure on siblings who have their own families? I know I love my siblings, but you know, that's an interesting. So I was curious to understand how that dynamic worked and what kind of preparations might make. How do you enjoy? I call your 70s is the best years of your life. I can't wait to get there. I
yeah,
got a lot of older friends. Man, these guys live the good life. I live in a community here where these guys race past here in golf carts all day long, man. Like I can't wait to buy my own golf cart. But
yeah,
so looking at it, from a more serious thing, like how do you really enjoy the you've worked, you mentioned there that the guy was a doctor, so I'm pretty sure you had a decent retirement. You're at a
yeah,
point now where you can enjoy the theater, but you're constantly thinking of this adult dependent child. You can't go on a 6-month cruise across the world, like that's
no,
gonna be a real tough place to be, what I mean?
yeah,
And so I've observed a lot of in my just looking, I tend to pay attention to what's going on around me. I've seen a lot of older people, white and black, with
yeah,
adult children who obviously have some sort of limitation to how they function.
hmm,
Wonder like, okay, what do you do when, like what's the next step?
yeah. Like I said, I haven't encountered it in this realm that I'm in now.
Hmm.
But it would be something I would really have to go in and have a conversation to understand the family dynamics, first of all, what that looks like. And then, like, she already had the government care, which was the Lynn at the time, coming in 3 times a day, morning, noon, and evening. And then she had private care coming in as well. It would definitely be a balance. But again, in this particular circumstance, it was different because of her former profession. If it was an average everyday person, I don't think they'd be able to handle that. The person would probably end up in long-term care. As much as you don't want your loved one there, I think that would not only be the place for them to be, it would be the best place for them to be to have that proper care. Like she knew how to do the suctioning and all that stuff. She knew that stuff from her previous training. So maybe that's why, you know, these challenges were best with her because of that. But in the aging part, I think as parents, you can't put it on your siblings, but I think as parents, as a mother, I think of God forbid my own child, I would take care of her. I have no choice. That is what, as a mother, that's what I'm gonna do. How am I gonna do it? I'd have to figure it out when it gets there. Like as much as I figured out things raising her already, but it's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge, and I know there's a lot of people who are, especially these days where kids are being diagnosed a lot more, I think,
Yeah,
a
yeah, and
lot
that's
more than back
something
in
that
the days.
I see it. Like you know, I've got a family member, and we were having this conversation 2 days ago.
Hmm.
He's a few years younger than myself, and he has one child who is totally dependent. I mean, she functions at the level of a 5-year-old.
Right.
And we just started to have this conversation, and it just came up. It was just an organic conversation. We just talking about life and our journey and our challenges. And my kids are all fine, thank God, right? But when I saw the concern in his face, because he's trying to navigate the next stage of his life, but you've got this child that you love that you brought here, who's
Yeah.
in their 20s, who functions like a 5-year-old, and you
Yeah.
can't just depend on somebody else to take care of them. So how do I,
Mm-hmm.
it's a real tough place to be. So I mean, I have firsthand experience
Mm-hmm.
in that situation for my own
Mm-hmm.
family. You know,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would definitely be bringing in. That would definitely be bringing in resources again. Starting again, assessment. Starting with the C, we got to assess, or the A, assess that
yeah,
whole situation, and then, I know a wealth of professionals. So bringing in those people and putting it all together, making sure things are in place. But definitely not a situation any one of us would want to be in. Definitely not. But we're going to see a lot more of it as I get older in this career. I'm going to see a lot more of it. I know, as I said, there are a lot more kids being diagnosed, right, with something that's challenging. So, I mean, I've had a family where I had a lady come up to me at one trade show, and she was in tears. Like, this woman started crying, talking to me at this trade show. The people are trying. She was in tears because she has a house. Her husband died 10 years ago. She's married to a new man. Her son does not like this new man. She has a house. He's kicked her out of her own house.
what?
She's renting a place with her new husband, but she's still paying the bills for the house, and she doesn't know how to get him out the house. And I asked her if he had any challenges. She said no, and that's what she was dealing with: an aggressive child or older adult child who's not paying any bills, playing video games all day in the house. She's paying the bill. She can't even go in her own house, and she has to go rent a place. And she said she didn't want to call the police on him because she said, "Oh, well, you know how the police deal with our men." I'm like, he needs to be dealt with, because why is he kicking his mother out of the house? I'm sorry if I'm wrong for saying that, but really?
that is more common than we think. Actually,
Yeah,
I've
I agree. Yeah, I would
very.
say, yep.
I mean, we need a lot of Caribbean and African clients. I mean, most of our
Mhm.
client base is probably black, and I can tell you, I have heard those stories, man. I've had actually more. What is more interesting? I've heard it more where daughters have been more aggressive than sons.
You're
Really?
kidding.
Oh yeah, I had a situation several years ago where I convinced the client came to me. We developed a good relationship. I told her to sell the house. She couldn't get her daughter to leave the house. The daughter didn't work. Daughter had about 3 kids. They destroyed the house. Had 2 dogs in the home. I said, sell the house. I said, what do you mean? I said, list the house and sell it. Give her 30 grand. They're all the best. I love you. And move on with your life. And I'm going to buy another place. And, she had a son who was very close to her. I knew the whole family. I had a pretty good sense of that. I said, sometimes it's tough love. There's nothing wrong with your daughter. She's got these 3 kids. I mean, that's the life she chose to have. List the house and sell it. I give her a realtor who was very, understood the dynamic. We sold the place. She sold in Toronto, moved to Saga, bought a nicer house for $200,000 less.
Mhm.
She was obese at the time. She's lost 100 pounds. Her
Wow.
health is better, and she's living the best. But the daughter was killing her slowly with all
Yes,
her stress and trauma.
yes,
But this is
yes.
very, very common among
Yeah.
Christian families, and we don't talk about stuff.
Dr. Tachi says it's time to call the police. I would never.
Yeah. So I think when we talk about challenges, yeah, if someone has a diagnosis, then that's one thing to deal with. That's manageable. It's when you have these kids that are undiagnosed, that are not diagnosed with anything, that are just
Uh,
misbehaved,
they are diagnosed. It's bad weed.
bad behavior.
Bad weed. Not
that's,
bad
what,
weed. Bad weed.
that's what I wanted to
All
say
that
about.
420 stuff they're involved in. All that
Wow.
American weed they're smoking, that stuff destroys your brain cells.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of this drug use, marijuana use. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I see it here, like here in Jacksonville, I see a large amount of fringe youth between the age of 25 and 35.
Hmm.
And most of it is extensive drug use, marijuana use. Yeah, all that chemical laced marijuana that they're
Yep.
indulging in. But for
And
people
it's
who
like,
don't know how,
no, so
sorry,
Ray,
go ahead, doctor.
it cycles back to what you said at the beginning. Most of us are not prepared for this.
No, we're not. We're not.
And
And we
then
don't have to
just,
help. I
and
mean,
it
and
builds on Desiree, ask for help.
yeah.
Yeah.
But so let's come back to the time well spent. We've had a lot of people in our immigrant community who came from the Caribbean, and all they did was work. They worked 2 jobs, 3 jobs. They got the house. We've got clients who in the 80s who are still working,
Yeah.
right? They don't need the money. Sell the house, downsize, buy a little one-bedroom condo, and go on a cruise. Like, enjoy your life. Buy a nice car. Stop driving these little dinky old cars you drive, right?
Yep.
How do you have that conversation with people? The transition from constantly struggling at life to get the house paid off and then get to retirement to actually having time well spent when you get there. Like, how do you, tell them, like, you got to stop like this stuff. Like, stop eating this canned tuna and buy fresh tuna. You know what I mean? Like, how is that conversation?
That is a difficult cycle to break because sometimes if you look at the era that they come from or the circumstances they came from back home, whether it's the war era or whatever, where they're used to being afraid of lack, that is a very hard mentality to break. What I have had is conversations, though, with adult children where the parents want to move or say declutter, starting with that, and they're stuck in doing it because they have all this stuff because their kids bring their stuff over to their house and use it as a storage facility. And when you ask them, do you want to get rid of this or do you want to get rid of that? They say, oh, well, this child might want this. And so I then speak to the children and say, do you want these things? No. Okay, well, you need to give your parents permission to release because until it comes from them,
Mm.
the parents are not going to release it. So I asked the children to have that conversation if you don't want it, or give me permission to sell it or throw it out. But give them that permission to move on. So a lot of times parents are stuck in their own time capsule of holding things for their children they think their children may or may not want because the stuff is all there. The children's of well move on, have their own house with their own basement, but they got all this junk in their parents' house. You know what I mean? I'm talking about stuff that's not even neatly put away, but it's just strewn at the bottom of a closet. Like I've seen, stuff that's not even well
Good
taken
stuff.
care of. You know what I'm saying? It's just there. Like you could tell they don't care about it, but they're talking
I've
about
seen that. I've seen it in some of the appraisals I've seen in my lifetime. What is this? A whole
yeah,
basement full of crap. Like, come on, like
yeah.
burn it, man.
So it's that conversation. But the whole thing again with someone like I can think of someone I know who came here and her husband, when they came from Barbados, they promised to one day we'll go back home. We'll go back home. A lot of people are in that mentality, well, of one day going back home. So she was a shopper and she loved her Byway, her Bargain Heralds, Sears, all these places, which had more cheaper stuff, not really quality things, right? We can agree on that. So when these places closed down, she would buy them out, and she's like hoarder, but neat hoarder. So all this stuff is stocked up, waiting for when
I
she
like that, Doctor Vibe. Neat hoarder. There's a
neat
neat hoarder
hoarder.
and untidy hoarder. Make
She's
note
a
of
There,
that.
very
there you
nice
go.
hoarder. She's a very neat hoarder. She knows she
Right.
can find stuff and all that stuff. But her husband is now passed. So she's definitely, and she's in her 80s. She's not going back home. She's not financially able, but she's hanging on to the stuff. You know what I'm saying? And she'll pull out candies that no longer exist and give it to people. It's like,
Oh,
you know that, like, it's so that is a psychological thing. That's where
yes.
that person probably needs a therapist
Yep.
to help them navigate through it. It's not as simple as throwing the stuff out or decluttering because
No,
we'll get more stuff, right? So again, you got to look at the psychological reason behind why she's doing this, and her reason is obviously because she wanted to go back home. But now you need to get a therapist to get her knowing that, okay,
She's never going back home.
you're never going back
Home from
home,
here. That's not home. That is home. It's the hereafter.
and let's prepare for what this looks like now,
Eventuality.
especially that your husband's gone. Exactly. So that's a psychological trauma as well, and it comes from, like, my mother had six siblings, and they were very poor, living in a board house, and all of them are high income earners, but they are stingy. Like, I call it stingy. Like, they hold on tight to their money because they have that fear of lack again.
It's
Like
public.
actually, I joke with my daughter because one of my uncles, who is the cheapest person I know, she's going to school, she's in med school doing her thing, and she sends him her grades, and he's like, here's $2,000. I'm like, damn, okay. He's getting nicer in his older age because he's now, but he values education. So this is
Yeah.
something he values, which is why he's releasing and sewing into her, because he's like, you're not going to have any debt when you graduate. That's his thing. So he's helping fund her through school, right? But again, it's what is the circumstance they came from, and why is that mentality there that they're holding on in case whatever happens. The same lady I was talking about earlier, who's the neat hoarder, when the blackout, remember when the blackout happened
Mm-hmm.
back in 2003, I think it was?
Mm.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I don't know, she thought like Sunlight soap was going out of business, but she had the biggest jugs of it lining the walls throughout the house, and the husband was just complaining there were just jugs and jugs of soap. Again, it was a reason to shop because that happened. It made her worst fears come true. So that amplified her already fear of lack and doing laundry, I guess, right? But again, you have to get to the psychological reason, and that requires help. It really does. My first experience with a hoarder, it was a lady who had lost her husband they bought their dream house, and 2 years later her husband passed away from cancer, and she had two young children. And 12 years later, when I came into the house, whew, it was like the streets of New York. Like, remember back in the days, New York, with garbage tumbling, and I'm talking
Yeah.
about you had to walk over stuff. Like it was, I thought I was being punked when I walked into the house. I thought I was on some reality show for realtors that they were trying to see how I deal with this. I did get the house sold, but I had to work through that. And I moved her. We got the house sold. We moved her to another house. I would go and visit her. And bit by bit, as I would visit her, I would sit there and there would just be newspaper just tossed on the ground, rolling around. And it got to the point where I stopped going. And that's when I realized that she needed therapy, because mentally, we removed her from the space physically, but mentally, there was something in her that just thrived on mess. And what that was, I don't know. So she needed help. It's a psychological state. It's not
Let me
just,
ask you a question, Desiree. Um, a lot of what you're talking about in this entire series, I mean, dealing with seniors is one of the most challenging things we can do as professionals.
Mhm.
How do you manage you coming through all these very challenging and stressful interactions? I find I see from the outside looking in, I find it to be very stressful interactions. Like, I'm not a collector of stuff. I purge every 6 months. People and things. I get rid of people and things every 6 months. I'm not afraid to get rid of either of the two things. But how do you manage you
Yeah.
when you leave a situation and get into your car and exhale for those two before you pull off? Like,
Yeah.
what is your modus operandi
Yeah.
to navigating the space you currently work in, and do it
Okay.
healthy? Let me do it. How is it your mental health?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, one of the ways I deal with me, honestly, is by I'm always purging my house as well and people as well. I'm always doing it. I get into modes where I'm just like, right now we have our garage full of stuff that we're decluttering as well. And also, I do not allow toxic people into my space because I already deal with challenges in my work. So, if you're a toxic person, only complaining, whatever, you got to go. And I'm very firm on that. I think it's part of when a woman, I'd say, hit 50s, you're very firm on your, I don't even give reasons. It's just no. That's it. That's a full answer, out and blocked and blocked. I'm not paying my phone bill to be annoyed. You know what I mean? Number one. Number two, for me, I am a huge empath. And that was one of the things that I had to gain control of, because being in this, I would always be crying every minute. So, with that, I mean, I've learned to care about what people are going through, but not take it on myself. There's a saying that God don't give you more than you can handle. And my interpretation of that is that another person's challenges were not given to me because I'm not meant to carry them. I may help the person by giving them the resources and whatnot, but I don't take it on harshly. With that being said, I do have emotions. So I have a family, for example, that I helped actually declutter and get rid of the estate. It was a rental. The lady came up from Jamaica because her mother in law had passed away. And I helped her go through this. Her father was with her, and her father hadn't slept in like 7 months because he had some type of problem with his spine in the back of his head, and it wouldn't let him sleep properly. And got to know the man in like 2 3 weeks. Very nice man. We'd be there. He'd play some nice Christian music. Really nice gentleman. And he was worried about the daughter because she had to go through this whole process. And when I remember the last time I saw him, I gave him a big hug, and he went back to Jamaica. Spoke to him a few times. 'Cause a lot of my clients, honestly, they become friends. As much as they will let me, we become friends for those that want to remain close. And I don't have a problem with that, right? So spoke to him a few times when he was there. Fast forward, the daughter, right before the hurricane happened, he was in the hospital and his condition was deteriorating. And then the daughter, oh gosh, about a week or two ago, she messaged me and said that he passed away. So she had lost her great aunt 6 months before, and then her father just passed away. And no lie, I broke down in tears because I was like, wow, like I just saw this man, his vibrancy, his, even in his sick state, it was something. It is tough. It is definitely tough. But I think we're all placed, or we're given our assignments or our purposes for a reason, right? And as tough as it is, I'm able to handle it. My mental state is okay. I also have a therapist. I joke with my husband, I have a therapist because I pay someone to listen and answer me, not just listen. So I have a therapist that I do use. And I think that helps me as well with my boundaries, establishing boundaries, navigating through things, putting plans into place, and coping methods into place. So between therapy, I love to declutter. And I think that's one of my coping mechanisms. I'm realizing why I'm so good at it. When I get hands on, because I do have a crew as well, but when I get hands on with it, it's my own coping method of just releasing stuff. I went through a phase where I had really long locks, and I felt like I was carrying so much.
Wait,
It was weight. You know what I mean?
I know you. I know that feeling.
Yeah, man. So I didn't go to a black salon because I didn't want to hear about why you cutting off your locks for. I didn't want to hear none of that. I went to Marca College and let an 18-year-old white girl cut off my locks. And I had very small locks. They were like sister locks. Had over 1,000 in my head. And this girl cut them one by one. And each piece that she cut off, I felt as if it was releasing something. It was the most therapeutic moment ever. And I get lots of massages as well. I'm always getting a massage. So it's very holistic. And I'm a Christian. I pray. I pray. I do. I wake up every morning and I pray and I ask the Lord to guide me in what my next steps are. Who am I helping today? Just guide me. It's not me, it's bigger than me. So I think with that whole combination of things, it's what helps me stay balanced. But I love what I do. In the middle of it all, I love what I do. And I think that's really it. When you're passionate about what you're doing, you're not just chasing the dollar, then it it's another day. And every day is not the same. So
Happy to
I
hear
guess
that.
that's a comprehensive answer.
No, I know I'm happy because like our clients, as you said, become our friends.
Hmm.
So for me, starting in the business younger, I had a lot of older clients who I guided through a lot of stuff, and then they started to die.
Hmm.
Um, and it's like I lost a close family member. Like I had to talk Steph through a situation a few weeks ago because one of our clients, that he knew, because I mean, Steph was always there since he was a child. So a lot of the clients knew Steph since he was like 10 years old, right? It's not like they knew him now as an adult. And then one of our clients passed away, and he took it really, really hard, because all of them just stop by the office. I mean, the office, just stop by the office and just, doors always open, just stop by and just talk, So that's, so we giving out all this advice to people and we're guiding them through their challenges. But then who is dealing with our challenges? You know what I mean? But I mean, this was a great series, Desiree.
Yeah.
I mean, this is,
Well,
I'd like to
if I can just interrupt for a second, there've been some comments. Dr. Tachi.
Thanks, Dr. Vibe. We bring you back into the conversation.
No. It's okay. It's okay. Dr. Tachi said, "Good Lord, not the streets of New York City."
1989. You can't get to 89. 80s and 90s.
She goes,
Once again became mayor of New York. What's the
yeah,
guy's
it
name?
says, "I can't stand clutter and excess
Giuliani.
papers."
Yeah.
Dr. Tachi said about the story you shared, so sad. And Fitness IQ Cam says, "I understand resetting from your locks. LOL, except who cut it."
Yeah.
Desiree.
I don't know.
Wow.
I
What
want
a
to say thank
journey.
you. I heard so much about you. And
I
it
hope
was
some of it was good.
King Bob. Yeah, it was Lorna King Bob who kept telling me reach out to Dr. Vibe. He
You
has a
know anything about?
great, yeah. You know her?
Because she and Trisha are also very, very close.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Treasure Wallace,
I mean, they
exactly.
still have to use my office. They used to have sessions in my office. Like
Yeah,
they had a
Lorna's my she's one of my go-to home
she's a
care.
real nice person, man. Like she's a
Very
nice
nice lady, and
person.
she's very knowledgeable as
Oh
well.
yeah,
I have some clips on my about fall prevention with her speaking as well when I interviewed her.
she's a
But yeah,
nice.
she told me to reach out to you,
Probably
and
about 20 years ago.
yeah, and I just want to say
Yeah.
thank you so much. Like I reached out to you, and immediately you didn't just say one show. You said let's take each letter and make it into a
Series.
series. And I really, really, really appreciate you for that because in a world, especially in my space, which my space is real estate. I am a real estate agent. I'm a broker of record. Sorry, broker of record, realtor by trade. There are a lot of us, and it's very challenging to distinguish yourself. But you've given me a space where we haven't really even spoken about real estate because that's really not what it's about. And that's the essence of my business. It's really not
And
about
actually,
real estate.
we did in a very subtle manner. We
Yes,
start selling the real estate when the person dies. So
exactly.
it's
Exactly. But it
not
wasn't
an
the
in
over
your
the
face
top.
conversation.
Exactly. Exactly. But you've given me an opportunity to really be my authentic self. Sometimes I dropped into some real Caribbean phrases because I didn't know how to say it any other way. And Ray, again, for being here and supporting me. I mean, like I said, Ray knew me when
I knew
I didn't
before it all started.
know, I think I was just becoming
Yeah,
Desiree. You knew
yeah,
me then. So you know what? Thank you for the support as well, Ray. And thank you to you too, Dr. Vibe. You're doing amazing things. And yeah, I'm writing a book, as I said. So when that does get published, I will be this is the first place I'm coming with it. So I just wanted to say that as well.
yeah.
Well,
Thanks, Desiree. I
yeah,
appreciate you having me being part of the conversation also.
Yeah.
Dr.
yeah.
Vibe,
Well,
I
no,
appreciate
for
it.
Desiree, first things first, when you reached out to me, I said, this would be fantastic because I need to know about it. And if I need to know about it, other people need to know about it.
Mhm.
And I loved your energy. I love how you carry yourself. Most importantly, I love your heart.
Oh.
You know, I love your heart. And as I go on in life, my heart gets bigger and bigger for our elderly.
Mhm.
Like out of any demographic I grab onto these days, it's the elderly,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And they just, and we need to do better by them,
Yeah.
and I'm going through some of this myself right now. And I'm thinking, you know, things as they are, they're not going to be around much longer,
Forever.
right? So I've got to savor the moments and take some of the things that you've educated me with
Mhm.
and put it into their realm. And hey, I may be getting a call from you one day, say, you need to come over to this address. We need to have a session. you
Yeah,
know,
it's a really good series. Like,
I'll be open. They booked a flight to go to Jamaica about a month and a half ago for 3 months.
Mhm.
then Melissa happened.
Yes, and I actually had a conversation with my dad the other day. I said, Dad, I'm concerned about you going down there
Mhm.
because if you have a health incident, I don't know what the health is like down there. And I know Ray said, yeah, health is good down there, but we don't know. And again, from what I'm hearing, we don't know.
Yeah,
So
what you have to do is you have to get a list of people you can depend on in Jamaica.
yeah. Oh, well, we
Remember
have that.
Jamaica?
We have that. We have that.
Yeah, so not I don't mean people. I mean like a doctor. Like you got to get a nurse. That like I've got a nursing that I can call for my mom. Like that's what you need, and you got to stay in contact with those people regularly.
Oh, yeah, we
So when
have
you
that.
talk to them, it's not like a random out to the work phone call. But I find that will release a lot of your interpretation and concern.
Yeah.
I mean, there are challenges with healthcare in the entire Caribbean, but once you've got a few dollars, then you sort of hurdle over those challenges that affect the regular pop. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the reality of life in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But having a medical professional, even just a registered nurse who can get the process.
Let alone there, have that here. There's
I'm
still a
not
lot of
I'm in
ability to have
Jamaica.
that
I think
here.
you need it in Jamaica.
Yeah, but also in
You need that
Jamaica.
network in Jamaica if they're going to do it. Because what I've learned, because I happened to talk to my mom a few days ago, uh, as they get closer to what they think is the end of time, that desire to go back home, we can't stop it.
Oh
It's
no, I
something
wouldn't.
like talk
No,
tomorrow.
no, no, no. I wouldn't stop
Like
it.
my mother's not Grenadian, she's Guyanese. And she had a weird call with me the other day about going back to Guyana. I said, Mom, you left Guyana like 50 years ago. You don't know anybody in Guyana. Right? And her reasons made sense to her. And by default, they made sense to me.
Of course,
Right?
I realized a long time ago, everyone walks through the world different.
Yeah.
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 Everyone, and
Um,
so the reason why there's so much grief in the world, one person's trying to convince another person of something they don't want to do.
Yeah.
Right? So we got to let it through. So Desiree, what are some things that you are carrying away after a number of wonderful conversations with you?
I think my biggest takeaway, and I think I already knew it in my mind and in my heart, is that it's proof of concept. There is a need for what I'm doing
Yeah.
as a Black woman
Mhm.
in this space because there are people in this space, but they're not necessarily Caribbean descent. Or I've sat around in rooms in the beginning of my career of realtors who have what's called the SRES designation, which is the Senior Real Estate Specialist designation. A lot of realtors have it. It's a designation. I That was the beginning of my journey. I've gotten every other designation possibly since then, and life experiences, and filled with my passion and how I told you I ended up here from my mother being a registered nurse. And I've sat in rooms with them and they were all trying to brainstorm, kind of like a mastermind group. We'd go up to Collingwood and figure out, and I was the only one looking like me in that room, by the way. And we'd all try to figure out, well, how do we get to the seniors, and how do we get to the seniors, and how do we get to the adult children? Everyone's trying to figure out how to, simply for the house sale. And breaking aside from that, and having gone through COVID, and that time I worked in the healthcare space as well, and really leaving behind the conceptions, or the mentors, I'll say, who I had, who were in the real estate space, and really coming into my own self and doing what I felt in my heart has been the best decision, because the families I touch, the stories I have, it just brings a smile to my face. Like every time we wrap up with another client, I sit there kind of like, you ever look at 18 when they're like, okay, who will learn? I love it when a plan comes together, is what they would say, right? And I kind of say that, and I'm like, okay, I wonder who our next person will be, because you never know. And then I get a call, and it's like, okay, family, this is our next client. Here's the profile. Let's do it. And I love it. And having this conversation, seeing the interaction from all of your guests who watch it, I repost it on my channels as well. I really do see that this is bigger than me. It's needed, and I'm onto something. And I've started to put out advertisements to bring on realtors as well, but not I'm not looking for realtors. I'm looking for people who were in the healthcare space that want to be serve a purpose in the real estate space. So
Mhm.
healthcare space, compassion first, then realtor. Anybody can be a realtor, right? You can learn that, but you cannot learn compassion. You cannot learn heart. And one thing you have to have in this space is you got to be real, because seniors will shut you down. Doesn't matter what race they are, they will shut you down real quick if they detect that you're fake and you're there for one reason. So those are the people that I'm going after,
Right.
and it's led me to start making that move towards building my, I don't even call it a brokerage, it's a movement. Building this movement that I'm making in the real estate space as my vehicle.
Ray, any final words?
no, I mean, that you probably did really well. I mean, I really, I enjoy being part of the conversation. I mean,
Thank you for taking the time.
I've known Desiree for about probably more than 2 decades now, or somewhere around there. And, for me, it's like when I started, I didn't know too many black folks in the mortgage real estate business. I think there was like Guy Spears and like Mike Leckey, and that was about it. And I didn't know any black brokers, real estate brokers. I mean, but it's a different time now, you know,
Yeah.
different time, and to see the level of service that we bring to our community, and that we can go in as people who look like the people we're serving,
Mm.
and we can develop friendships and have healthy dialogue, and take them from buying the home to, like, planning their downsizing, because when you spend 30 years in the industry. You see it all. You see the firstborn, and then you see the firstborn grandchild. So I know it got to be a real special place for you there. You know, this is times when I miss Toronto.
Yeah.
Telling my
Ray,
son.
do you remember, Ray, when I signed? Remember back then we had to sign on ink for our mortgages?
Yeah,
Do you remember I had my little 2 or 3 year old daughter with me?
I remember that. Yeah.
Brought her just as she would witness her mother with her Mont Blanc pen signing
Yeah.
her first. I don't think she remembers, but I brought her just so that experience was there for her to witness that happening. That's
And
how
please,
long
I mean,
it
that's a
was.
very, and that's what we have to do as black parents. I mean, I was very fortunate. I'd been in rooms with my grandparents since I was like 3, 4 years old.
Mhm.
Uh, they go to the bank to arrange, financing for a project they're doing, and I was right there. So a lot of I was telling my cousin again a few days ago, my entire education about finance didn't happen in Canada. Happened growing up in the Caribbean. I mean, a lot of what I saw was from my grandpa had was very astute financially. My grandparents, so and you were the same. There. So I don't see your daughter not doing anything great. It's part of the DNA, right, and the environment we were raised in. But it's really good to see having your own brokerage and
Yeah.
Yeah, well, when I mentioned to Ray, your name goes, I know her. I said, okay, Ray, you're coming in the conversation. You're making it happen. But I want to thank both you for taking the most valuable thing you have, your life, your time. I got to do this. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who's doing that, not just doing it digitally, but again, not for the last time, for a moment.
Yes.
This is Desiree's contact information. Just out of curiosity, Desiree, do you have a YouTube channel yet?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Okay, we got to chat offline about something.
Yeah,
I definitely we got to. I gotta chat with you offline about something.
for
Those
sure.
are contact information. We didn't include the YouTube channel. My bad. With Ray, there is a bunch of his stuff: website, Facebook, Twitter. Also,
on another dot, I don't use Twitter anymore, Doctor. I haven't used Twitter in like 4 years.
use what?
Twitter. I
Okay,
haven't
no
gone on
problem.
Twitter in like
I'll
four
correct
years.
that for next time. If you want to get a hold of Mr. Ryan Knight, it's Ryan Oneil Knight, as I always say, KN, not N. Also, too, if you want to get a hold of myself, one link, taplink.cc/Dr. Vibe Show. You can watch replays of this epic conversation, The Morning Vibe, on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, also the Afro Caribbean Business Network on YouTube, and Ryan Oneil Knight on YouTube. We have one more comment. Let's see. I'm wanting to see who it is. I thought it would be. There we go. Dr. Tati says, great convo. Thank you so much. So everybody, whether you're watching live on the replay, we appreciate you as always. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller smaller to get bigger. Thank you. And now I forgot because I messed that up. Oh my gosh, I have a brain cramp. Okay. I'm having a brain cramp for a second.
You're allowed to, Doctor Vibe. Don't
I'm
stress.
allowed
You're
to.
allowed to, man.
I'm
Listen,
allowed to. Okay.
don't
Don't
stress.
just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both and always make it better. Want to say thank you to both of you, and also thank you to Ryan Knight who had to jump off. This has been Block Assumptions. Thank you, Dr. Tachi. See, she got my back. Block Assumptions. But Desiree, we will talk as I'm glad you have a YouTube channel. We're gonna work on something together on
All
YouTube
right.
from that. But everyone, have a great rest of the day. And again, if you're around live in an hour and 10 minutes, Alfred Edmond from Black Enterprise Magazine. Be well and keep the faith.
All right.
This whole thing of using your business with plant-based products, don't you think your life should reflect that too?
Juke him, Carolyn. Juke him. The family loves us here because they're saying Fitness IQ Can says put a wig on to get in.
Oh God. Oh my God.
Like the ideas are just coming fast and furious here this morning. What? Okay, look at this. Global Women Ambassador. Good morning. Look forward. Okay.